Live from Real Dog. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Ruby here from Real Dog. We are on box number 98 and going live from both Instagram and YouTube. Very excited to show you what's in this new month's box. Every 4 weeks, we make a new combination of treats and chews, and I love going live to tell you all about all the different items that we have in the box. And it's an opportunity for you to ask questions about the benefits of each of the products, how to feed them, maybe what the next lineup is going to be, or maybe you just have a question about our service or you want to tune in and talk and say, what's up? Hey, Corgi Mama, what's up, girl? Before we dive into this box, can we just, for a minute, look at this super cute shirt that we're going to be dropping tomorrow? Can you see that? Is that the right way for you guys, or is it backwards? It's a 420 pre-order drop, easily distracted by dogs and weed, inspired by one of our team members and adopted by Real Dog. Very excited for that drop, so keep a lookout for it. And if you have any questions as we're doing this live, don't forget to use that question function because I may not see your comment. It's right on the bottom right of the screen next to the comment box. I do see one right here. Oh, it's backwards, but it's really cute. Is it possible to do a 1-month subscription to try it out? For sure. We don't have any commitments or cancellation fees. So if there's something that your dog doesn't like, we will give you an automatic replacement and restrict it from your boxes going forward. And if you don't like our service or it's not for you, then you can cancel anytime. All right, should we dive right into our boxes? This is a big lineup. Box number 98. We started with 6 different products, our muscle organ seafood and chews. Then we added our super chew. Then we added our meatballs. And then we added our food toppers, our 50-50 ground organ mix. So now there are 9 different items that we rotate through every 4 weeks, which is very challenging for us since we make all of our own product here in San Diego, because we just finished shipping box 97 yesterday, and today started shipping out box 98. So there's a lot going on. All right, I'm just going to start with the products that I'm grabbing out of the box. This month's seafood, we've got wild-caught capelin. This capelin is sourced from Alaska. Sorry, not Alaska, from Canada. This is one of the products that we like to get wild-caught. They're small, oily fish, as you can see right in there. This is going to be one of my favorites for omega-3s because it's like kind of crispier than the anchovies that we carry, but not as soft as like the salmon that we're going to see in a future box. I like adding these, especially the little fish heads that pop off as meal toppers, and I like rehydrating them. So this is going to be one of my favorite seafoods, and you can find this in the treat and chew box, the treat only box, and the mini box. So that's the seafood of the month. We, on Sunday, so I'm on social media duty on Sunday, and I posted a little like, oh, guess what this month's lineup is? So you can get a free box. The first one to guess right will get a free box. And I completely forgot that we had sent the lineup in the Sunday 6. So a lot of you guys already knew what was going to be in this box, but we did give the winner a free box. So next up for our organ meat of this month, we've got lamb spleen. If you've been with us for a while, you probably noticed that we haven't had lamb spleen in a long time. We've been working with a lot of different lamb suppliers. We work with one of the biggest in the country, which is up in Northern California. And they have been providing us with our lamb spleen, our lamb ears, and our lamb trachea, and our lamb foretrotter. So we get a lot of lamb from them. But we haven't had spleen in the boxes because the price has just been outrageous and difficult for us to source. But this is the organ meat of the month. I absolutely love it because it breaks apart so easily. So you can feed a little bit at a time. If you're using this as a training treat, there is a little bit of fat on it, so that's going to make it oilier than some of the other things like our turkey gizzard, which is our muscle meat. But I want to give you guys a quick tip on how much organ meat you should start off feeding your dog. This is your guideline right here. This is your dog's paw, and this middle area right here, that is going to be the guideline for how much organ meat you should be starting off to feed daily. They can certainly have more than this, but if you're a new customer, it's the first time you're getting our box, the organ meat is going to be very high value. So your dog is going to be all about it, but you don't want to feed more than a paw size. You start off with that amount. Next day, you take your dog out for a walk, stool looks good, money. You can feed a little bit more, but you don't want to overfeed the organ, especially if your dog has never had it before. And just be careful because it's very easy to do. And the reason why organ meats are the most high value is because they're very nutrient dense, the most nutrient dense part of the animal, which is why ancestral supplements are making a comeback. We're starting to see people have beef liver in these little capsules. And even lamb spleen or lamb kidney is another popular one that I've been seeing in the ancestral supplements. Why? Because there's so many amazing vitamins and minerals in the organ meats. So your dog knows that. And when they're eating it, they're going to ask you for more and ask you for more. But please try not to feed too much at once and just use their paw as a guideline of how much you should be feeding. All right, so now we're going to jump into our next item for box number 98. This is going to be turkey gizzard. A lot of people confuse gizzards and hearts that we carry with organ meats. Technically, they are considered organs. They're muscular organs. But for the purposes of nutrition and feeding our dogs fresh food, gizzards are actually considered muscle meats. Something like a spleen or kidney or liver is a secreting organ, meaning it actually secretes different enzymes as it's helping the body process food and detoxify the food that you're feeding your animals. But turkey gizzards look just like this, and they also break apart so incredibly easily. I like the turkey gizzards a lot because they're not oily, and these are ones that you can just keep in your pocket when you go for a walk. If you want to do some training while you're walking, this is a really good one. If you haven't seen a gizzard before, most poultry have them, as well as I think alligators and a few other reptiles. And the purpose of the gizzard is to help break food down. I'm a new chicken mom and learning how our chickens eat literally everything, but they've got to have a little bit of grit or stones or dirt, whatever you want to call it, to help break that food down. And that's what happens in the gizzard. The gizzard will sort of contract itself and move around, so it helps break the food down with some other pebbles. What that means is sometimes when we get our gizzards, these are all sliced, but they're normally about this big. And when we get our gizzards and we're running them through the slicers, every now and then there'll be some pebbles and sparks flying because there's some grit or stones inside of those gizzards. But these are very, very muscular. If you can imagine, if it's used for breaking down the food, it's doing a lot of activity, and that's what helps keep them so lean. So gizzard is our muscle meat of the month. Lamb spleen, if you're just tuning in, is our organ meat. And then our capelin, which is our seafood of the month. Next up, we have our light chew, which is beef aorta. We have always had transparent bags since the day we started. It is part of how we show you what you're feeding, so you're not tricked. There's a lot of really cute bags out there with different colors and images, but cute is not our style. Keeping it real and being transparent is our style. This is a beef aorta. If you've never seen it before, it's actually the ventricle that attaches to the heart and helps circulate blood throughout the body. The reason I love beef aorta is it's a light chew, but it's also hollow inside, just like our beef tracheas. So this is a great option to make a little mini cannoli. It's a little harder to get through because this is made of completely cartilage. And unlike the trachea, which has a nice, firm, hollow shape to it, the beef aorta does tend to collapse a little bit. So it's a little bit harder to fill, but not impossible, especially if you use like a Ziploc bag as a makeshift piping bag. And you can fill it with whatever you want. You can use fresh yogurt, plain yogurt, make sure it's not flavored or any added sugars. And I like the texture of the beef aorta. Another thing that you can do, not just with the aorta, but with all of our treats, is you can rehydrate them in hot water. And really, that's what makes the difference between an air-dried, a dehydrated, and a cooked or roasted treat. Once it's cooked or roasted, if you try to put it in hot water, it's just going to be a soggy, roasted piece of meat, as you can imagine, like a rotisserie chicken. But for an air-dried treat, because we have not exceeded 130 degrees Fahrenheit, we can actually put this in hot water and see it go back to its original form. It'll get nice and malleable, and you'll be able to sort of wave it around just like how we process it when it's here in our kitchen. Beef aorta is a light chew of the month. It comes with 3 pieces to a bag. Occasionally, you'll see 4 pieces. That's when we think the bag is a little bit small. We do trim off the ends to make it fit. All of our chews are going to be at least 5 inches in length. And where you will see those ends are in the secret shop. So if you saw the last week's drop, we did have some bulk beef aorta, which is a bunch of different pieces. I like to call them potato chips because for my dog, which is a 145-pound Anatolian Shepherd, he chomps through those light chews pretty quickly. Let me know if you guys have any questions as I'm going through this. I'm just doing a quick slide through the comments to make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, I think I got it. All right, so next up is our medium chew. Duck head. I love duck heads. They're so fun to feed. Probably fun to scare your neighbor. They are a little pungent, higher in odor than a few of our other treats. And a lot of that has to do with it being poultry. All of our poultry treats and chews are going to smell a little bit more than our other meats because there is a little more fat on it. But here's the other reason I actually love duck heads. They are considered complete because you've got your brains for organ meats, your omega-3s and your vitamins and minerals. Same with the eyes, great source of omega-3s in the eyeballs. Your beak is going to be a nice source of cartilage. And then you've got some bone around the skull, which is going to be your calcium source. So this is a great raw meaty bone. Yes, the entire beak is consumable. Sometimes I've seen Icon, he usually will start with the head, like the back of the head, and then make his way towards the beak, but we'll see dogs eat this every which way. If I can get inside this, we'll also be able to see a little duck tongue, which is a nice lean muscle meat as well. But we have our duck heads, 3 pieces to a bag. The other thing you might see in our secret shop are duck heads that are have sort of mangled or missing beaks. When we're going through our quality control check, it happens 3 times. So when we receive the raw product and before we put it on the grates, that's the first quality control or QC check. The second time happens after it comes out of the dryer and we're packing it into our bags. And the third time it happens is when we're on the shipping line. So we have 3 different places where we can check our quality. And don't get me wrong, we miss things, we make mistakes. But those are 3 different opportunities for us to catch if something doesn't look like it meets our standards in your bags. And it doesn't mean that it's not good quality food. It's just not a full, nice looking duck head. And so those are the items that will make it their way over to the secret shop and be available for bulk discount pricing. The secret shop was born out of us wanting to be zero waste. I grew up in a household where I had chores every day. One of my chores was sweeping the floor and vacuuming. And I remember one time I was sweeping the floor and there was a penny on the ground and I was putting it into the dustpan and my dad heard me and he was like, "What's that sound? Are you sweeping up money?" And I'm like, "It's just a penny." And he was like, "You are literally throwing money in the trash." He was right. I was scarred for life. I have a hard time throwing things away, especially food. So when we had all of these extra leftovers, bits and pieces from our bags, first we were giving them to Icon. As our team grew, we were giving them to everyone on the team. And then at some point, when we reached several thousand subscribers, it was just too much for us in-house. And I thought, I can't throw this stuff away. How can I make it available to our subscribing members at a discounted price? And that's how the Secret Shop was born, out of us wanting to be a zero waste facility. It's been very successful because it also allows us to drop things like these shirts, these 420 special shirts, novel products like our rabbit heads and alligator bites and camel meatballs, things that either we can't put in our boxes because it would freak people out, or things that we can't source enough of to put into our boxes. So small batch, local novelty items, some exotic meats like camel. Hopefully we're going to get some venison in soon. We're working on box number 100, and that lineup is going to be super, super fun because I'm trying to put things in there that you guys haven't seen in a while. Box 100. Can you believe that we've had 100, almost 100 different box combinations? Oh my gosh, I just still get so excited all the time. All right, back to our unboxing. I see a question pop up here. Let me just pull that up before I get into my chews. Can anyone who purchases a monthly box have access to the Secret Shop? Yes, absolutely. And is the Secret Shop always open? Yes. So the Secret Shop's always open. You can log in at real.dog/secret shop. If you are a wellness member, you get a text message notification of the day and drop time, as well as what's going to be in there. We typically try to restock the Secret Shop twice a week if we can. We're like, our primary goal every day is to fill your orders and send out your boxes on time. The Secret Shop just happened to be some extra items that we have, which has just like grown into its own thing. So we do try our best to restock the Secret Shop every or twice a week if we can, but it doesn't always fall on the same day or the same time. In fact, for the few of you that are live here with me, we normally have a drop on Wednesdays or Tuesdays, but we decided to do a 420 special drop today, tomorrow, to drop these awesome shirts, easily distracted by dogs and weed. And also because we're going to have a lot of green stuff in there. We're going to have some green tripe pucks. We're going to have some green lip mussel powder, some regular green lip mussels. We're going to have frog legs, like a lot of cool stuff that we plan on dropping for 420. But normally, yes, the Secret Shop is open all the time. But here's the thing. It sells out really freaking fast. And I wish that we could put more things in there at a time. But we're a small batch facility, so we only pack what we have on hand. The Corgi Mama says, I'm hoping to score some green lip mussels. Me too. Me too. When it says we are making more chews, that means it's closed. It means that we're restocking, that everything that we dropped the previous day has sold out and there's nothing else left to buy. So we basically remove that inventory or the ability for you to access it, and we restock it with new items. But you'll only know when we're restocking if you're a wellness member and you get that Secret Shop text message notification of the drop time. Great question. Thank you for asking. All right, let's finish up our unboxing. Muscle meat is turkey gizzard. Capelin is our seafood. Lamb spleen is our organ meat of the month. And duck head is our medium chew. Beef aorta is our light chew. And we've got 4 more items to get through. Our heavy chew of the month is pig ear. Again, beautifully transparent bag, so you know exactly what you're feeding. You don't accidentally grab something. Let me see if there's anything interesting to tell you about our pig ears. These are pretty standard. You see these around pet shops all the time. We get ones that include the earlobe on the outside of it. So that's a pretty hefty chew. People ask me all the time what Icon's favorite chews are. Very high up there are chicken feet and pig ears. He's basic. What can I say? The pig ears come 3 to a bag. These won't look very different from what you see in your pet store because when they're roasted, you might see them that they come out like a little bit darker, but they look very similar to this. Pig's ear is slightly higher in fat. So if your dog is sensitive to having a lot of fat in their diet, then I would probably try to introduce that slowly, like everything else. Take it away. I was at the farmer's market the other day and I was instructing someone to play the trade it game. And they kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, you never trade chews with your dog, like make them drop it. And she said that he didn't listen to the drop it command and that anytime he had something in his mouth, it was just like, oh, well, he has it. And while that probably is funny for some people, it's not really great in terms of safety. Like, what if they have something non-food related in their mouth that they need to drop? That said, it happens, and not all of us have mastered that particular trick or training. But what I like to do is a trade it game. So imagine your dog is holding onto this. And chews are very high value, so maybe you start with something that's not super high value, but you start with this and imagine your dog is chewing on it and you know that that's been enough time. It's been more than 10 or 15 minutes, or this is the first time they're having a pig ear and I need to take it away from them. How can I do that? So what I like to do is offer them another super high value treat that they like. It's probably going to be the muscle meat or the organ meat. And when you offer that treat to them and they go ahead and drop the chew, you swipe that chew and you give them the treat. And it works 90% of the time. You want to probably try playing that trade it game when they're not eating something super high value like the pig ear, but it works. And there's also a book on Amazon called Mine, which I highly recommend for those of you that want to work on that, want to learn about resource guarding and things that you can do to sort of prevent that happening in your own household. It's called Mine. Don't recall the author's name, but it's a very good one. I am missing my bag of meatballs, but this month's meatball is turkey meatball. That is going to be another super high value item. You could use that for the trade it game as well. All of our meatballs are made with the ancestral diet recipe. For some reason, I happen to have a duck meatball card here. And all of our meatballs, all of our products are going to have the ingredients right on the front of the card. And the reason I didn't show this earlier is because except for our meatballs, everything's 100% single ingredient. So if you see a duck head, that's all it is. There's nothing else added into it. But all of our meatballs are going to have the ingredients right on the top. And they're all made from the real ancestral diet, which includes muscle meats, organ meats, raw meaty bones for your calcium, liver, another secreting organ, seafood, and fiber by way of fur. We put rabbit fur in all of our meatballs because that fiber component is going to be so important to your dog's digestion, forming short chain fatty acids that get fermented in the stomach, slowing down the digestive process so that they're not eating too quickly and resulting in diarrhea or acid reflux. And so that fiber component is really important. But that's going to be the meatball of the month. So far we have turkey gizzard, lamb spleen, capelin, beef aorta, duck head, pig ear. Those are the treat and chew box. So that's going to be in the big box. And then the add-ons are our turkey meatballs, our beautiful Bison Scapula. This is just money right here. Absolutely love the Bison Scapula. I think this is my favorite chew. A lot of people tell me their favorite chew is the bull penis, which I understand why that's popular. It lasts a long time for most dogs. but the scapula is my favorite because of the shape. It has both some bone right here and cartilage on the outside. You can actually see the difference, bone, cartilage. And especially for dogs that tend to gulp a lot, this flat surface eliminates that risk because they really have to corn on a cob it, literally eat it like corn on a cob, like that. You might see them going on one side to the other side, but that's why it's my favorite chew. The scapula is the shoulder bone of the bison. And so if you've ever seen a bison or buffalo similarly shaped, these are the bones that sit right up high. And that part, excuse me, is the bone and the cartilage right on top. So this is a really, really good super chew. Most of them are going to be about this size. You might see some slightly bigger or even smaller. But remember, every animal is different. I say this about the bull pizzle as well. Like, all of the bulls have different size penises, and what we do is not cookie cutter. We don't expect her to be the same size treat all the time. Everything that we do is by hand, and so you're going to see a lot of variation in that. Okay, last but not least, we've got our food toppers, ground beef liver and beef spleen. The food toppers are a brand new add-on that we just started making available last month. This was by popular demand because it used to be that the organ mix was only available in the secret shop. So you can see this is nice and finely ground up. It's made with 2 ingredients, always liver and another secreting organ. So if you guys are raw feeders in the house, you know that all of your meals are going to have liver and another secreting organ. Sometimes it can be very difficult to source that organ meat, or not very pleasing to handle because organs can sort of be slimy and an odd texture in your hand, difficult to, chop up when you're handling them raw at room temperature. So what we did is we ground up dried organ meats that we had from your boxes and made this 50-50 organ mix powder. So this food topper can be used on fresh food to complement your DIY meals at home. It can be added onto pre-made raw as well. And it also can be added on as a meal boost for any dry food. So if you're feeding kibble, that's okay. It's going to be a little bit difficult to have a powder stick onto a dry kibble. And we always recommend anyway to rehydrate your kibble with some warm water or some bone broth. That's what I would recommend. And then adding, based on the size of your dog, either 1 spoon or 2 big spoons if you have a big dog. And the dosage and daily feeding instructions are also included right on the front of your car. And that's it. That's box number 98. We got through that in record time. You guys asked some really great questions about the secret shop. Do plan for a drop tomorrow sometime in the afternoon, and make sure that you tune in. So if you do want to get your hands on pre-ordering one of these super sweet 420 shirts, you can do that. And you'll also be able to get some of the good stuff that we have planned: the green tripe, the green lip mussels, the frog legs. There's a few other things. I think we're also dropping rabbit pelts. We rolled the rabbit pelts up, so they'd be like this shape, if you can imagine, like a little cigar. So a lot of fun stuff that we're doing here. Rudy says, why do you recommend rehydrating kibble? Because it is so dry. And most dogs, cats especially, suffer from chronic dehydration. And that's why we tend to see so many kidney issues or renal issues. The kibble is dry, and naturally, if they were eating a fresh food diet, that moisture would be included with the food. So we want to be able to rehydrate it with warm water or bone broth, so at least they're not going back to lap up, a whole bowl of water afterwards, because unless it's already mixed together and you're allowing that kibble to hydrate a little bit more, you're going to see your dog drink so much water as a result of being dehydrated. a lot of people that do switch to a fresh food diet, one of the first things that they tend to notice is their dog has been drinking so much less water because they're actually getting it naturally in their food, and also that their poops are way smaller because they are now utilizing all of the food that they're consuming. There's not a lot of waste that's passed through. EJ says, best way to introduce duck head. It was a little rich for my dog. So depending on your dog size, or as you said, because it might be too rich, what I would do is one, the trade it game. If you're just tuning in, basically it's you offer your dog the chew. As they're chewing it, you offer them something of higher value and ask them to drop it and take it away. The other thing that you can do is literally chop it up. Take a cleaver, chop off the back of the head, because that's going to be the soft portion. Like, you can actually buy duck heads that are split down the middle this way, but I would actually take a cleaver and chop it right here, right in front of the beak. Offer this half first, and then the next day offer this side. Another thing that you can do if you find that it's difficult to take chews away from your dogs, if you freeze this, it's going to be a lot more challenging, and they'll only be able to bite off smaller portions of it. And I would only do this if your dog is over 30 pounds and probably even if they're teething, because that frozen area is going to be really, really nice on their gums, just to sort of calm those like inflamed gums. But you can freeze it and let them nibble off a little bit at a time and then take it away. One thing that we recommend, and I believe this is also in on the first page of your welcome card, is to use slippery elm bark powder or marshmallow root. So that's going to be tree bark. It's a powder. You can get it in powder form. You can also get it as a tincture. And all it is tree bark, which means it's a good source of fiber. If you've ever heard of Metamucil, which a lot of older people tend to take to regulate their digestive system, it's made up of psyllium husk, which is another fiber. And that's been the answer for years, both in Eastern and Western medicine, to help with digestive upset. So typically what I do is I will make a small amount of slippery elm bark mixture, which is 1 tablespoon of slippery elm, 1 cup of hot water, mix it up until it's sort of like a gravy. Give that to my dog first before offering any new food, whether it's a chew, whether it's a new kibble or a new topper on top of their food, or a new raw protein. Slippery elm has been a lifesaver, and that's just what I keep on hand. I have the same bag for the last 2 years. It's Star West Botanicals brand that I got off of Amazon. And I just use that anytime I need to prevent digestive upset before I introduce a new food, or afterwards, if it's like, oh, I don't know what's wrong, my dog's tummy hurts, he has diarrhea, then I offer the slippery elm. Marshmallow root will do the same trick, and I'm told it's not endangered like slippery elm is. So if you can get your hands on either one of those, that is what I would recommend having on hand if you find introducing new items to your dog might be a little bit more challenging. Thanks for asking that. All right, I think I have gotten through all of your questions. I made my way through the whole lineup of box number 98. This box is going to be available for 4 weeks, and you'll see in our stories that we're going to start working on our next box lineup here very, very soon. If you want to hop onto this box and get some things like the meal topper add-on, the food topper, you can text our team, add that onto your box anytime. You can also switch boxes. Say you're a fan of this lineup, but you want to move down to a mini box for next time. You can also text our team to do that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope to catch you again at our next live next week. Bye.